FPL is back, baby, and it still sucks, like we all know and love. Millions of FPL players are already panic buying after just 1 week. So who are last week's FPL heroes we should be buying, and who are FPL zeros we should be selling? Let's find out. In this video, we will be looking at the heroes of the week. Should we be panicking to get them in? We will also be looking at the zeros of the week, the most disappointing players. Who should we be discarding in the bin like dirty underwear after a particularly spicy burrito? And finishing off, I'll show how my team is looking. And spoiler alert, it's embarrassing. Let's start first with the FPL heroes. Holy shit, everyone, did you know Haaland is good at scoring goals? I wish someone told me this sooner. I had no idea. Now that is what I assume the 200,000 people who quickly transferred Haaland in before game week 1 even finished. I assume that's what they were saying. Over 70% of us, me included, don't have Haaland in our teams. So should we be panicking? No, let's get serious. We all know that Haaland is a beast. So are we really surprised that he scored 2 goals against Wolves, a team who are up there as favourites to be relegated? Of course not. This shouldn't be a surprise to people. And why is he not in my team? He certainly might be in the future, but I'd rather have Salah for the time being, have that large money in midfield, which will be easier to move about should anything dramatic happen, like injuries or suspensions, etc. Plus, I just believe Salah is an even better pick for points in the long term. So Haaland scoring 2 goals against Wolves isn't enough just yet to get me to rethink my strategy. For you, it could be different, but just remember why you didn't go for him in the first place. Oh god, this next player, I swear I looked up how to say his name and now I've completely forgotten how to pronounce it. Reinders. I'm going to call him Reinders. Why not? Now another City player, Reinders, the most highly transferred in player. 535,000 players immediately buying him. And I've got to say, I don't blame him. A cheap as chips City midfielder who's encouraged to get forward is great value. His price has increased, however, to 5.6 million, but he's still an incredible option. However, can we remember, please, that City only played Wolves? No disrespect to Wolves fans, but we've only had 1 game week's worth of data. City have okay fixtures coming up, but not amazing, with Spurs, Brighton, Man United, and Arsenal in the next 4. So will Reinders have the opportunity to punish them as badly as Wolves? Well, for me, I just like working with a little more data than just 1 week. This might mean I miss out on him at this price and transfer him in when he becomes more expensive, but so be it. You know, for now, I would rather remain calm and bank my free transfer onto next week. The next most transferred in player this week is Semenyo. 370,000 players have bought him. He absolutely punished Liverpool on the counter and deserved his 2 goals, but is the knee jerking a little too hard here? Last year, he had a goal involvement just above the average midfielder. He's a decent player capable of scoring goals as we just saw, but again, let's not rip up our entire strategy on just 1 game week worth of data, shall we? Bournemouth next have Wolves and then Spurs straight after. I'd suggest keeping an eye on him for those games and then assess the data afterwards. Now onto Calafiori, an Arsenal defender who scored a goal against Man United and got a clean sheet. Hurry! Everyone, get him in your team! Whoa there. Okay, let's calm down and be honest, shall we? The goal was lucky. Not taking it away from him, but that is the truth. The keeper was slapping at the ball like a bloody 8-year-old girl playing patty cake, and any other day, Man United probably would have scored. They should have scored, really. They came close on a number of occasions, and then that would have just wiped away his clean sheet bonus. And Arsenal themselves, they didn't look particularly impressive. Yes, they were away, obviously, to Manchester United, but soon they'll be facing Liverpool, Man City, and Newcastle all away from home. So on paper, those are even harder fixtures. However, 60,000 of you still seem keen on transferring him in, and good luck to you. I mean, I wish you all the best, but right now, he ain't for me. And now from the red side of London to the white. Kudus, 2 assists over the weekend. I will caveat this and remind people that this is against a newly promoted team in Burnley. And much like Reinders and Semenyo, I'd like to see how good he looks after more data is received. But at the point of recording, he's £6.5 million, so I don't blame you if you've already transferred him in. But I'll probably wait until after Man City, who they play next, and then consider him for Bournemouth. And to be honest, I really like the idea of a different Spurs midfielder, Johnson. I was so close to having him in my team, but last minute I transferred him out, and then guess what? He scores a goal. Yeah, I mean, it happens to all of us at some point, right? You gotta love FPL. So for me, at just £0.5 million more, I would probably choose to upgrade Kudus to Johnson instead. So those were the FPL heroes. Now on to the zeros of game week 1, the biggest disappointments, which are already seeing people transfer them out en masse, which is crazy. Chile, Cole, Palmer. I didn't watch the whole Palace game, but what I did see, Palmer seemed invisible. And the stats seem to show that as well. He got a 0.2 expected goal involvement. Now, not to blow my own horn, but if you were subscribed to my channel and watched my previous videos, you would have known I had doubts on him and I didn't include him in my own team. So if you don't want to miss out in future on other tasty little nuggets like that, then definitely subscribe now. For example, I highlighted this crazy stat about Palmer that no one seems to be talking about. Last year, Garnacho outperformed him in the entire second half of the season. Yeah, enough said. Though it's just unfortunate for me, who I did buy instead, he also blanked. But should you sell him if you have him? I don't necessarily think so yet. You got him for a reason, so just remember that reason. Palace, they're no mugs, but West Ham, who they have next, right now, they certainly do seem to be mugs. So give him one more week at least, if not two. If no improvement still, then join the Bruno train. Fernandes, £1.5 million cheaper, and drives both good defensive contributions and attacking threat. He was close to returning last week, just bad luck for me and other Bruno owners there. On to João Pedro, another Chelsea player I said I had doubts over, but because I didn't have Palmer, I still included him in my team because I lacked the cojones to go too differential. And again, in a previous video of mine, I highlighted how half of his 10 goals last year were penalties, and now he's no longer the penalty taker. So is he really worth 7.5 million? So should you and I get rid of him? Myself, I will probably keep him for another week or two. I wasn't planning on keeping him for long anyway, just for these earlier fixtures where if he is going to score, it should be now. However, he was subbed at 70 minutes. If he blanks against this West Ham team and is subbed early again, then he's gone for me. And speaking of West Ham, Jared Bowen, 170,000 players are transferring him out, and this one I do completely understand. Even if he did score in the last game, I would still recommend to replace him. At £8 million, he is way too expensive for the stats he produces when comparing him to other cheaper forwards. If, however, he was still classed as a midfielder in the game like last year, that would be different. But I'm actually shocked that they priced him that high whilst changing his position, so goals and assists are now worth fewer points. So yes, get rid of him. He had a shocker against Sunderland, and West Ham's fixtures, they aren't gonna get easier than a newly promoted team. Can Bowen still score goals? Yes, obviously. But can you use £8 million better? Yes, definitely. Chris Wood, for example, is £500,000 cheaper with better fixtures. You could buy him and then use that leftover change as you wish elsewhere. Now, next player, this is gonna hurt if you're Vert, because so far he's the most transferred out player leading up to game week 2. 260,000 players are booting him to the curb. And if I'm honest, it's so premature for me. He's in my team and I'm certainly keeping him for the time being, because are you really expecting him to score or assist every game? He got an expected goal involvement of around 0.5 per 90 against Bournemouth, so he's still involved in the game and was a much bigger attacking threat certainly than Palmer was to Chelsea against Palace. So even though Liverpool play Arsenal and Newcastle next, they have Burnley and Everton afterwards, and for me, I don't see any point getting rid and bringing him back after just 2 weeks when he can still do a job against Arsenal and Newcastle. And now the final disappointment will be Watkins at Villa, and if you've enjoyed this video so far, then pimp slap that like button and subscribe. So Watkins, it was a choice between him and Gyökeres, but it seems more players are disappointed with Watkins, as 13,000 more of them have transferred him out over Gyökeres. Gyökeres, and I have to say I'm bloody disappointed too, seeing as he's in my team. 0.1 expected goal involvement. 0.1. However, I'll likely hold fire getting rid of him just yet, as next week Villa do play Brentford, but if it's not looking better for him, perhaps I'll go to Chris Wood, who has better overall fixtures from game week 3 onwards. Now, if you fancy a good laugh before you go, check out my abomination of a team. I had a terrible start, like a lot of people, but I'm not panicking. Alright, perhaps I'm a little delusional, but I still think I made good choices on paper. I'll quickly talk about my wins, as it definitely won't take long, unfortunately. Ait-Nouri, he did much better than I thought he would, to be honest. No attacking returns, but he got a clean sheet and a shitload of defensive contributions, which I wasn't expecting against Wolves. Last year, his defensive contributions at that very club, they were poor. He was purely an attacking threat, but in this Man City team, if he's going to be involved in pressing up the field much more, he's going to be making tackles further up the pitch to start an attack, then what an incredible choice he could be for the season. So keep an eye on Nouri. He's probably going to get attacking returns and defensive contributions. Now, Caicedo, super differential, with just 5% of people owning him, and he did exactly what I wanted, and that was to get his defensive contributions. Plus his clean sheet, he got 5 points, and at just £5.5 million, I'm happy with that. Granted, not as good as Reinders, but definitely not terrible. Now Salah, oh Capitan, my Capitan. I got super lucky here, let's be honest. He didn't have a great game, with an expected goal involvement of just under 0.4, but he does pull rabbits out of hats, the Egyptian magician, a goal right at the death. Now, I can't tell you how much I celebrated, and I'm not even a Liverpool fan at all, and my team isn't even in the Premier League. I'm a whoever is in my FPL team FC fan, and if you can relate, then drop me a like on the video and subscribe. Now the disappointments. We've already spoken about Wirtz, Watkins, João Pedro earlier. Of course, the biggest disappointments of the week occupy a space in my team, but I'll quickly talk about Fernandes. I decided to go for him over Palmer, and I still feel justified in doing so, because not only is Fernandes £1.5 million cheaper than Palmer, but he's a great source for defensive contributions and attacking points. Against Arsenal, his attacking stats weren't bad at all, and he actually was just one tackle away from getting those tasty defensive points, so I'm pretty gutted about that. But with Fulham and Burnley next for Manchester United, I have no intention of getting rid of him. Now Tarkowski, like Caicedo, I got him for the defensive contributions, which he got, so I'm happy with that, but he was so close to getting me a clean sheet too. But in my opinion, a really harsh penalty was given against him. I thought VAR was going to overturn it, but apparently this is football now. Yay. I mean, looking at reactions on Twitter, it does seem to be split. 50% say it's definitely not a penalty, 50% say he was being cheeky, leaning into the ball. I mean, on retrospect, I can understand both. And finally, Rodgers. I mean, it was going, instead of Rodgers, it was going to be Johnson from Spurs, but after the Super Cup final between them and PSG, and Johnson didn't feature at all, I panicked. I was like, gee, if Johnson is part of Thomas Frank's team, his plans going forward, why isn't he in the most important game of the season so far for them? So immediately I panicked, I transferred out Johnson and went back to my original pick in Rodgers, but he was so disappointing against Newcastle with essentially a 0 expected goal involvement. But Villa's early fixtures, they're good, so I'll likely be banking my transfer this week and keeping him for a little bit longer. But overall, I'm still confident going into the next few weeks. The journey to the top 100,000 is still on in this FPL marathon, and just like a marathon, FPL sucks. So subscribe now, because misery loves company. Alright, see you later.